Welcome to the Digital Studio, everyone. I am your master coach, and today we are diving deep into a masterclass on one of the most rigorously tested yet consistently fumbled areas of the Cambridge AS and A-Level Accounting 9706 syllabus, internal versus external audit. Whether you are just starting to solidify your foundational knowledge, or you're already hunting down those elusive top-tier marks in the high-tariff 9 to 15-mark essay questions, understanding the precise surgical distinction between these two forms of auditing is absolutely critical. We're not just going to sit here and recite textbook definitions today. No way. We are going to unpack exactly how the Cambridge examiners think. We're looking through the examiner's lens. By the end of this explainer, you are going to have a highly strategic, foolproof playbook for dissecting complex exam questions, managing your time under pressure, and presenting your answers exactly how the assessors want to see them. Get your notebooks ready because we are getting right into it.
Now, take a really close look at this quote. This isn't just my opinion. This is pulled straight from the Cambridge Principal Examiner reports. Year after year, highly capable students walk into that exam hall and leave incredibly easy marks on the table. And it's not because they don't know the material. It's because they fundamentally misunderstand the specific assessment criteria surrounding this topic. Candidates frequently blur the lines between the roles, the responsibilities, and the ultimate objectives of internal auditors compared to external auditors. But more importantly, they misunderstand the command words. Let's do a quick anatomy of command words right now. When a question says analyze, it is asking you to break down the detailed components of the audit process. But when it says evaluate, which is what trips everyone up, it demands a judgment based on criteria. It wants you to weigh the evidence. Similarly, explain just means making the cause and effect clear, but to what extent requires you to argue both sides and deliver a concrete concluding verdict. Today, we are going to systematically eliminate that confusion and build a bulletproof understanding of how to attack these specific prompts.
So here is our roadmap for today's explainer. We are going to cover 1, the assessment gap, 2, defining core concepts, 3, the procedural framework, 4, critical analysis, and finally, number 5, top examiner warnings. Let's move swiftly through these pillars to give you that structured path to top-tier marks.
Starting with Section 1, the assessment gap. To beat the exam, you absolutely have to understand the cognitive domains that Cambridge assessment is actually targeting.
Successful candidates must demonstrate competence across all 3 of these distinct cognitive steps known as assessment objectives, or AOs. Let me bring in a scenario featuring 2 profiles of students I coach all the time. Let's call them Alex and Sam. Alex is highly technical. Alex excels at step 1, knowledge and understanding. This is your baseline, AO1. Alex knows perfectly well that an internal auditor is usually an employee of the company focusing on risk, while an external auditor is an independent third party reporting to shareholders. But Alex gets stuck there and loses out on half the marks. Then we have Sam. Sam is a creative thinker, great at the big picture, but struggles with the structural precision of step 2, analysis. Analysis, or AO2, requires you to show the causal relationships. For example, how does the employment status of the internal auditor directly affect their independence? If they are paid by the directors they are auditing, there's an inherent threat there. Finally, we have step 3, evaluation, or AO3. This is the highest cognitive tier. Here you have to weigh the evidence, compare the limitations of both auditing types, and make justified recommendations based on a specific case study given in the exam. Alex wants to stick to the facts. Sam wants to jump straight to the argument without the structural precision. To get the top band, you must seamlessly climb all 3 of these steps. Moving on to Section 2, defining core concepts. This is where we lay the theoretical architecture that will actually support your higher order analysis.
This brilliantly illustrates what examiners prioritize: analytical depth over superficial breadth. Whenever I have Alex and Sam in a collaborative digital study suite working on the exact same high-tariff question, their debate always centers around this. On the left side, superficial breadth is Alex's biggest trap. It's when a candidate scatterguns accounting vocabulary onto the page, mentioning fraud, shareholders, stewardship, and compliance without tying them together. The examiner sees right through this keyword dumping strategy. Now look at the right side, analytical depth. This is what Sam aims for, and it's what secures top marks. It means demonstrating logical, structured reasoning. Instead of just listing terms, you explain exactly why an external auditor's primary statutory duty is to the shareholders, specifically to ensure the financial statements present a true and fair view. You contrast that deeply with the internal auditor, whose focus is on continuously evaluating risk management and internal controls for the directors. You are building an unbreakable chain of logic, not just a grocery list of accounting words.
The principal examiner reports explicitly highlight that integrating your auditing knowledge with other accounting topics is a proven, battle-tested strategy for unlocking higher grade bands. What does this mean for you when you are sitting in that exam hall? It means you literally cannot view auditing in a vacuum. When you get a 15-mark question on internal or external audit, you need to think about how it connects to corporate governance, to the prevention of fraud, or even to the valuation of non-current assets. If you can draw a clear analytical line between the independent findings of an external audit and the reliability of the company's published financial statements for prospective investors, you are showing the examiner that you understand the entire accounting ecosystem. You're showing them you aren't just reciting Chapter 8 of the textbook, you actually understand how the whole machine works together.
All right, let's look at Section 3, the procedural framework. This is about exam technique as much as it is about accounting knowledge, allowing you to capture what we call the method mark. Listen up, because right before we solve the hardest part of this problem and watch Alex and Sam hit a massive roadblock, I need to pause our session for a quick second. If you want to consistently crush your Cambridge exams and get these high-level strategies delivered straight to you, you need to hit that subscribe button right now for Ace the Exam's IGCSE O and A levels at the handle @acetheexam_IGCSE. Seriously, click the subscribe button you see popping up on screen and enable all notifications by hitting that bell icon. You do not want to miss our weekly Cambridge breakthrough strategies that can literally mean the difference between a B and an A star. Okay, back to the masterclass. Let's look at our scholars drafting a model response. They are going paragraph by paragraph using this exact 5-step framework. Deconstruct the question, extract relevant data, select the analytical framework, execute with clear notation, and verify and present. But right at step 4, they hit a major roadblock. Alex is trying to execute the answer by listing out all the statutory rules for external auditors, while Sam is writing a massive paragraph arguing about internal control risks, and neither of them is linking back to the question-specific command word. They are stuck. So I step in with a cognitive strategy to get them unstuck. The strategy is to explicitly map every single point back to the specific stakeholder mentioned in the prompt. We literally rewrite the flawed section out loud. Instead of saying external auditors are independent, we rewrite it to say, because the external auditor is independent, the shareholders can rely on their unmodified report to make future investment decisions, unlike the internal audit report, which is purely for management's internal use. Boom. That is the transition from a mediocre, fragmented answer to a flawless, full-mark response. To ensure you don't freeze up under that intense exam pressure and hit the same roadblock Alex and Sam just did, I highly recommend using this quick memory hack to lock in the procedural framework. Exam conditions are incredibly stressful. The clock is ticking, and it's so easy for your mind to go completely blank. By creating a mnemonic for those 5 steps, deconstruct, extract, select, execute, verify. Let's call it DESEV for short. You give your brain a simple, reliable anchor. When you turn the page and see a massive auditing question staring back at you, write DESEV at the top margin of the page. It will instantly calm your nerves and force you to structure your answer logically, preventing you from panicking and just word vomiting everything you know into one massive, disorganized paragraph that the examiner will hate reading. Let's move into Section 4, Evaluation and Critical Analysis. This covers the higher order objectives where true A-grade candidates separate themselves from the rest of the pack. Welcome to our interactive pause and practice visual workshop. I am addressing you directly right now. On screen, imagine we have a complex text excerpt from a past paper detailing a company's internal audit findings regarding inventory valuation. We're starting a 60-second visual countdown timer. Your job is to evaluate this evidence quality. Look at the criteria on the slide. First, identifying limitations. What is the limitation of that internal audit report? Well, the internal auditor reports to the finance director, who might be the one inflating the inventory. That's a massive limitation due to a lack of independence. Next, noting assumptions. The report assumes the current sampling method is adequate. Third, providing alternative interpretations. Could the discrepancy be fraud or just an honest error in the new software system? Finally, and most importantly, explaining the effect on conclusions. You have to tell the examiner exactly how these limitations mean the external auditor cannot fully rely on the internal auditor's working papers and must perform their own substantive testing. If you aren't doing this, you aren't doing critical analysis. Let's continue the workshop with visual question 2, spot the flaw. I am putting a poorly written student answer on the board. The student wrote, the internal auditor checks for fraud and the external auditor checks the accounts, so the external auditor is better. Okay, let's systematically highlight and annotate the screens to find the errors using our 4-step sequence. Step 1, identify the given information. The student completely missed the context of the business. Step 2, break into logical steps. The student mashed both concepts into one overly simplistic sentence. Step 3, solve systematically. Here's the examiner trap, saying one type of auditor is better than the other. Examiners hate that. They serve completely different purposes.
An external auditor provides a true and fair view opinion on historical financial statements for shareholders. An internal auditor provides ongoing assurance on internal controls for management. One isn't better, they are distinct and complementary. Step 4, check for reasonableness. Would a professional accountant ever say one is just better? No. This is how you deconstruct a bad answer so you never make the same mistake in your own paper. Moving to our final pillar, Section 5, Top 3 Examiner Warnings. Pay very close attention here because this is where the principal examiners explicitly tell us why students fail to achieve top marks. This is exactly where Alex and Sam had their biggest personal breakthroughs during our session. Marks are incredibly easy to lose if you ignore strict conventions. Mistake number 1, forgetting proper format. Sam used to write brilliant evaluations but would format them as an essay when the question specifically asked for a report to the directors. That is an instant loss of format marks. Mistake number 2, failing to check presentation and strict conventions. The examiners specifically look for clear headings and appropriate professional accounting terminology. Don't use everyday slang, use the precise vocabulary of the 97-6 syllabus. And mistake 3, perhaps the most fatal of all, which was Alex's main hurdle, providing generic answers. If the exam question gives you a scenario about a struggling manufacturing business with high inventory turnover, your discussion of internal versus external audit must specifically reference the inventory control risks of a manufacturing business. Generic, copy-pasted textbook answers will cap your marks at a low level guaranteed. Look at this massive examiner alert. If you take away just one procedural rule from this explainer, make sure you always define your terms before diving into your extended problem solving. Let me synthesize this entire masterclass into 3 core memorable pillars for you. Pillar 1, the 3-step question scan. You scan for the command word, the specific accounting topic, and the exact stakeholder you are advising. Pillar 2, the paragraph balance formula. Every paragraph must contain AO1 knowledge, AO2 analysis linking to the scenario, and AO3 evaluation of the impact. And Pillar 3, the last 5 minutes review checklist. In the last 5 minutes, you check your definitions. Did you explicitly define internal audit and external audit in your opening sentences? By doing this, you immediately signal to the examiner that you possess the foundational knowledge. It frames the rest of your analytical argument beautifully and prevents any ambiguity in your writing. As you prepare to apply these exact frameworks to your past paper questions, ask yourself, how are you going to actively integrate these examiner insights? Are you going to just list facts like Alex used to, or are you going to build deep, causal relationships and structured arguments like we just practiced? Crushing Cambridge exams requires consistent applied strategy, not just memorization. So here is what I need you to do right now. Hit that subscribe button for Ace the Exam's IGCSE ONA levels at the handle @acetheexam_IGCSE. Turn on the notification bell so you never miss these essential exam hacks. And most importantly, leave a comment down below right now with your exact target grade. Put it out there. Commit to it. Thank you for joining me in the digital studio today. Keep practicing that analytical depth, and I will see you in the next masterclass. Keep pushing.